Sonic the Hedgehog is a video game series and media franchise created by the Japanese developers Yuji Naka, Naoto Oshima, and Hirokazu Yasuhara for Sega. I probably pronounced those wrong. The franchise follows Sonic, an anthropomorphic blue hedgehog who battles the evil Dr. Eggman, a mad scientist. The main Sonic the Hedgehog games are platformers, mostly developed by Sonic Team. Other games developed by various studios include spin-offs in the racing, fighting, karting, and sports genres. And the franchise also incorporates printed media, animations, feature films, and merchandise. And that's just the Wikipedia article. Sonic the Hedgehog was originally created by Yuji Naka, Naoto Oshima, and Hirokazu Yasuhara, who developed the first game and released it in 1991 for the Sega Genesis in order to provide Sega a mascot to compete with Nintendo's Mario. And it was a massive success, widely considered to be one of the best-selling video games of all time, with 24 million copies sold, leading to many more games featuring the Blue Blip, to mixed results. But today, we are looking at specifically Sonic's first game, to see if it truly holds up, or if it just does not fit today's standards. Now, this game is iconic. If it wasn't, we would not have a full franchise. And it is highly rated with a 77% on Metacritic and an 8 out of 10 on IGN. And there's quite a lot of ways to play this game, those being Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Compilation, Sonic Jam, Sega Smash Pack Volume 1, Sega Mega Collection, Sonic Mega Collection Plus, Sonic the Hedgehog iMode, Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis, Sonic the Hedgehog iPod, Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection, Sonic Classic Collection, Sonic Generations, Sonic the Hedgehog iOS, Sega Mega Drive Classics, Sega Ages, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Sonic Origins. And that's just the major releases. Sega Genesis Collection, Sonic the Hedgehog Wii, Sonic the Hedgehog Xbox, Sonic the Hedgehog PS3, 3D Sonic the Hedgehog, Sega 3D Classics Collection, Sega Genesis Mini, and that totals to 23 different ways to play Sonic 1. This game better be the holy grail if it has this many versions. And at the end, we're going to put it in a tier list for fun. First up, we will talk about the story. Now, due to being the first Sonic game, the story is very bare bones, to say the least. The story revolves around Sonic the Hedgehog, a blue anthropomorphic hedgehog that can run at incredibly fast, or in other words, supersonic, speeds, and he has to rescue the animals called Flickies from being turned into robots called Badmans by the evil Dr. Robotnik, later named Dr. Eggman. But, fun fact, he was always named Dr. Eggman in Japan, but it was changed to Dr. Ivo Robotnik in the localization. And in order for Sonic to save both the Flickies and the world, he needs to obtain all 6 Chaos Emeralds, which are located all across South Island. Now, this story is very simple, especially compared to some of the later entries in the franchise. But for the first Sonic game, it gets the job done and lets you understand what's going on pretty easily. That is, if you read the manual, as most games around the time do not just tell you the story in the game. You had to read the manual to figure it out. This is mainly due to limited space and hardware limitations, so it's not really a problem with Sonic 1. Plus, Sonic Origins does give us a nice opening cutscene that sort of gives us the idea of what we got to do. And in the original, you've only had the ability to run and curl up into a ball while moving. There was no spin dash, drop dash, super peel out, or insta shoot. Now, in Sonic Origins, which was the version I was playing for convenience's sake, they added the ability to spin dash and drop dash, which those do make the movement in the game infinitely better. And I have to say, the momentum in this game is really good for the first Sonic game. It is very fun when you're able to go fast and keep your momentum going, which is the main point. Now, we're going on to the zone/levels in each zone. And each zone has 3 acts and 2 normal levels. And the last one is both a level and a boss fight. And these are where the game starts getting a little bit iffy in my opinion. We'll start with the zones I like, starting with the zone everyone knows and wish would go away for a while, Green Hill Zone, the first zone of the first game. And like the first game, it comes back way too often, returning in Sonic Adventure 2 as an Easter egg / 100% completion bonus, Sonic Generations as a callback to Sonic 1, what other zone would they choose, Sonic Mania, Sonic Forces, Sonic Dash, and Sonic Frontiers. And that is not including the appearances in other media. This location is all over the place. At least, it is one of, if not the best zone in Sonic 1. It is a fantastic introduction stage, it's easy to gain momentum and keep it, but it is still challenging enough to where it is not boring. And the music is just iconic. There are 5 types of badniks you have to deal with in the zone, all fairly simple to deal with. Buzz Bombers, Motobugs, Crab Meats, Neutrons, and Choppers. Overall, it is a great introductory zone for the start of the franchise, yet I might do something drastic if it returns again. The next zone I really enjoy is Starlight Zone. First of all, this is the second to last zone in the entire game, and it is when the game starts getting very difficult. But it's one of the only other zones you can really feel a sense of speed in. That is, if you are good enough. Now, unlike Green Hill Zone, this zone has never returned in another Mainline Sonic game. And it really should. This zone is really good, and it has very fun mechanics, such as the seesaws to jump to higher places, although the fans are pretty annoying. And this zone only has 2 badniks compared to Green Hill Zone's 5s. But these 2 are very annoying, and they are the Uni Uni and the Bomb. But other than those 2 blemishes, I would say this is the second best zone in the game. Then, in third place is Spring Yard Zone, this game's obligatory pinball zone. I have never really enjoyed the carnival-esque zones in Sonic games, and this one is no different. The bumpers are annoying, it's hard to go fast, and those moving platforms where I have to wait in order to get up or down are really annoying. The badniks this time around are Buzz Bombers, Crab Meat, Roller, and Spikes. I really don't have many comments on this zone, it's just the other 3 zones I feel like are worse. Next is Marble Zone, one of the first stages I actively dislike. It is known for its purple bricks, lava, and distinct disliking for going fast. This zone is very vertical. Most of the time spent will be going towards going to the bottom of Marble Zone, only to go back up. There is a lot of waiting for things to move out of the way, for things to drop down so you can jump on them, for things to move through the lava, etc. The badniks this time are Batbrain, who really loves hiding off screen, Buzz Bomber, and Caterkiller, who has one of the worst hitboxes I have ever seen. But now we are going on to Labyrinth Zone. Okay, first of all, nobody likes Labyrinth Zone. It is the most infamous stage in the game for its slow pace underwater, its stupid and unfair gimmicks. The badniks are Borobot, who they just love spamming everywhere. Jaws, he's fine. And Unidasu. I don't have words for Unidasu. There's a lot of waiting in this zone from raising platforms that may or may not just crush you with spikes that were off screen, and then there's waiting for an air bubble so you can't drown. And the drowning theme is anxiety incarnate. You are just waiting for it to appear when you are in the water, and when it does show, it is the most fear-inducing thing on the planet. Then, finally, there is, in my opinion, the worst stage / zone in this entire game. Worse than Labyrinth Zone. It's Scrap Brain Zone, and technically Final Zone as well. Now, first, I'm going to talk about the difficulty of this game. And you see, in the past, when video games were first starting out to be a thing, they were much smaller, they couldn't fit as much things on the space of the cartridge, so in order to make the game longer, they made the game much more difficult in order to compensate. That really shows in Sonic 1. And due to that, Scrap Brain Zone is one of the most unfair Sonic zones I have ever played. It loves spamming those little fire traps everywhere in just the most annoying places, and you can barely see them. The little shocky traps, oh, they use them a lot in Act 2 and just place them in the most fair places. They love putting saws or spiky balls or the fire traps on conveyor belts that are hard to move on. And the Badniks this time around are not the worst. They are Ball Hog, Bomb, and Caterpillar. But I have left out the worst part of this zone. You see, in Act 3, you go back to Labyrinth Zone with all of its stupid mechanics and badniks. That is possibly the most evil thing Eggman has done, just sending you to Labyrinth Zone. Now each zone ends with a boss fight. In order to get this done soon, I will rapid fire them from worst to best. At number 6, we have the Egg Mobile from Labyrinth Zone. This is just chasing after Eggman for him to run away, so in all intents and purposes, this is just more Labyrinth Zone. And that is always a bad thing. At number 5, we have the Egg Scorcher from Marble Zone. All it does is go back and forth between two platforms and burn them. It's very easy to defeat. At number 4 is the Egg Stinger from Springyard Zone. Eggman floats around and comes down to destroy a block on the platform you are standing on. It's easy, but if you take too long, it can be very hard. At number 3 is the Egg Wrecker from Green Hill Zone. It goes back and forth while swinging a wrecking ball from side to side, and unironically is more difficult than Marble Zone's and Springyard Zone's bosses. At number 2, we have the final boss, the Egg Crusher. Eggman tries to crush you using 2 pistons at a time. Hit the one Eggman's in, then avoid the energy balls. It's a fun but difficult boss. Then finally, at number 1, we have the Egg Spiker from Starlight Zone. He drops spiked balls onto the seesaws, and either send them back at him, or send yourself at him. I believe this is the second most overused and most unfun special stage of all the Sonic special stages. Basically, you're in a little maze. It's rotating. Hitting the arrows will in turn swap the rotation. And in the maze, you have to find the Chaos Zone. There are bumpers and other things trying to impede your efforts. And if you hit the goal blocks, in contrary, you lose. I never have fun in these stages, and I prefer almost every other special stage to this one. And after all that, it is time to rank Sonic 1. The first of this series to be ranked. And it has very fun physics, and the movement is very good, especially when you are playing Sonic Origins. The stages are a little bit iffy. Half of them are good, the other half, not so good. The bosses, some are fun, the others are way too easy and brain dead. And the special stages just suck. And with all that, I do believe this game deserves a C tier.
Shoot! Not my day!
It's not bad, but not good enough to be any higher than C tier, as a lot of other Sonic games are just way better than this.